Hi, today I'm making beef and daube, and it's spelled D-A-U-B-E, and it's a French dish. Basically, it's a beef stew with vegetables and marinated in red wine. It's a classic French dish, and I just thought it'd be fun to try something like this. What I have is beef cubes, and what I'm going to do is just add the vegetables, add the wine, add some of the seasonings, and this will go in the refrigerator. And it says it's best to let it marinate overnight so that all the flavors marry, which is like getting married. They come together so that all the flavors will marry together overnight. It calls for 2 onions diced and 3 carrots diced. So I have part of that done. I'm going to put those in the bowl with the beef. And it requires a non-metallic bowl. You don't want the metal to react with the wine or any of the other flavors. And I like to cook with wine. It gives a lot of flavor to the dishes. When you cook with any kind of alcohol, the alcohol will eventually evaporate and you don't have any of the alcohol, but you do have the flavors. This is a Cabernet. It's a very bold, lusty wine, and so this will be marinating in this overnight. And I want to get the rest of the onion prepared and the carrot prepared. And when you do an onion, you cut it in half across the root end. Don't cut it the other way, because this is a better way for it to stay together. And you can cut it through the paper, not the paper, but the peeling. And once it's cut, then you just peel away the outside edges of the onion. And I'll cut some of that top part away because it's starting to sprout a little bit, and I don't want that in there. But we keep the root end in so that the onion doesn't fall apart, and it's easier to do the dicing and the preparation. So we'll get all this peeling off of there. Okay, there it is. Do that to both of them. See, there's some that it sprouted just a little bit. So the rest of the onion's okay. I just don't want that sprouting part there. So I'll just cut that away. You have to use your onions in a pretty timely manner so that they don't grow while you're storing them. Okay, now we take our French chef's knife. I want some of that film off of there. Okay, and we're going to make slices across. Remember, keep your fingers back, your knuckles against the knife, and just cut down. Cut all the way across. And then we can make one slice across. Keep your fingers out of the way. And now this is when we will do our dicing. Nice sharp knife. Oops, see, I slipped on that. Good thing I didn't cut myself. Okay, and we don't want that root end, so we'll just throw that away. And there's a little bit of the outside of the onion. And there's little pieces of that core that I don't want. I don't want that in my beef stew, so I'm going to pick those out. If you happen to get anything like that in your onions when you're chopping them, dicing them. Make sure you take that out. There's just part of it that you don't want to have. It won't hurt you, but I don't think it's as pretty, as tasty as it should be. So you're going to do that to all of your onions. And then the carrot, you'll take your potato peeler, your vegetable peeler, peel away from you. Don't peel towards you. You know, your skin will peel off just as easily as this peeling of your carrot will. Okay, so got the carrot peeled, and I'll cut this in half, and then we want to get a nice flat base, so cut along the side so you can get a flat, otherwise your carrot will roll. And then you're just going to make thin slices. Now I'm not trying to julienne. If I were trying to julienne, I would cut them and slice them and stack them like Abby did in the video, but this one I'm not going to do that because all I want to do is dice this. So I'm going to get a nice flat base, and then I can make some more slices. See, my knife isn't as sharp as hers, so I'm having a little more difficulty cutting, so that's why I was putting my hand on the edge. Probably not the most authentic way to cut these, but you know, and I think you have to about every time you use your knife, it needs to be sharpened. So I want nice long slivers, and then I can dice these. Okay, the vegetables are all diced, and I'm going to put them in this bowl with the beef. It's about 2 pounds of beef is what I have in there. And the recipe also calls for 2 cloves of garlic. And I wanted to show you, one recipe I read called for minced garlic, and another one called for sliced garlic. So I'm going to mince this just to show you how my garlic press works. This is a pretty nifty little thing. What you're going to do is take this, yeah. Oh, I broke it. Take that off of there, and you're going to put the garlic in there. This is a garlic bulb, and each one of these is a clove, and you pull them apart, and so it calls for 2 cloves of garlic. And so this is a press, and I'm just going to push it, and I think you can see the garlic coming out the bottom. It's really an easy way to do garlic. And then you just take and scoop this off, because you don't want to miss any of that good garlic. That garlic is a good flavor. You open it up, and this is pressed down in, really pressed in, because you want to get all the juices and the pulp out of the garlic. So I take this and push on the bottom side, which pushes it up underneath, and I can take and just lift that out. I'll do the same thing to the other piece of garlic, the other clove. Turn it over, press, and you'll the juices will come out, and so will the garlic pulp. Take and scoop that off. And then to clean it out, just push up on these little teeth. It really, and it cleans out the garlic that comes down through on the bottom too. And you lift that out. So it's a no-touch garlic that you use. Okay, it calls for zest of orange zest. What I have is my zester, and I'm just going to run this, I washed this orange, I'm just going to run it along the outside edge. And what it does is give some flavor to this. Now some of this I want separate, so I'm putting this in some cheesecloth. It's like a little cheesecloth bag that I have. And it doesn't take much of this zest. I think I'll do another. You don't want much pulp in it, you just want the outside of the orange, the peeling. Put that in there. This is all for flavor, for some additional spices. This is whole cloves. And cloves, you can get them ground, or they look like little spikes here. You can see them in that dish. There you can. Okay. Those are going to go, it calls for 4 of those, the recipe, and so this will go in the little bag. I also need some bay leaves. These are dried. And I'm going to put these leaves in this bag. And the other thing that it calls for is a pinch of allspice. Now if you've ever seen a recipe, and that's too much to even get out of my hand, but a pinch is literally what you can, okay, you start there. You have a bunch, you have some in your hand, and you pinch it between your finger and your thumb, and that's a pinch. And the rest then you'll just dispose of. You don't want that. The other thing that I need to get, and that is thyme. This is fresh thyme. And it's, a lot of times you can find it dried and ground up, but this is fresh. So I'm going to put a few sprigs of this in this little bag too. And kind of wrap it around. And I want to stir the dough. So that all these flavors can marinate and marry, as they say. This is a very rich, hearty stew. They say it's good for warm or cool spring evenings and fall when it's starting to get chilly. It's a nice warming stew. So I'm going to take and put these down into the broth, into the red wine, so that they also will come in contact with the liquid, and then all of that will disperse into the rest of the ingredients. And this is ready for the refrigerator, and it will marinate overnight, and then tomorrow we'll pull it out and cook the meat and do some different things with it. So that's all that we have to do for today. Okay, what I'm going to do now for the Daube is I'm going to caramelize and glaze shallots. And this is what a shallot looks like. It's a member of the onion family, but it's smaller, a little bit sweeter. It has the root end, has a stem end, and it's found over most grocery stores in the with the kind of different kinds of I can't even think what they're called, just unusual vegetables and fruits in that kind of area, because it's not a common thing that most people use. And right here I have, the recipe calls for 12 shallots. I've already peeled these, and what you do is cut the stem end off and you cut the root end off, and then you just remove the dry covering of this, and that's all you have to do to it. And I will cook these in olive oil. I like cooking in olive oil a lot of things, so I use different oils for different things. But this says to do them whole. Some things call for them to be cut in two, cut in half, but this recipe calls for a whole. Calls for about a tablespoon, and it recommends not using a non-stick skillet, so that's why my skillet doesn't have any non-stick coating on it, the one I'm using. And I just tip this around to try to coat the bottom of the pan, so that the oils gets all over the pan. And what I'll do is just put these shallots in and let them start cooking. I need a lid for this, and I'll check this and stir it every once in a while. Okay, I am working on the Daube. It has marinated overnight, and this is what it looks like. Not much different than it did yesterday, but the flavors have married. And right now what I'm going to do is I have 6 slices of bacon in a large Dutch oven, and I'm going to cook those on top of the burner. And we want these to brown, so I need to separate them a little bit. This is pretty thick bacon. But what I'll do then is once the bacon has fried, I'll take the bacon out, leave the bacon drippings in there, because that is also part of this whole process. And I need to, okay, well that's cooking, I'll do that. I need to get a bowl, because I want to pull out my This is the cheesecloth with the herbs and things in it, so I want to get that out of there. So I'm going to set that aside. Some of this I want back, and some of it I don't. So that's why I want to keep it out, keep it separate. The other thing I need to do now is to drain this, and we drain it and reserve the. Don't throw this away. You want to keep it. So I use a plate and just put it on top. So that I can pour it on. Plate works really good. It's one of the easier ways to drain things. And you can use a plate on skillets if you need to drain grease off of something. There's all kinds of things you can use this plate for. Okay, then the next part of this, let's set this over here. Is get the vegetables off of here. Need another plate. Okay, I have cooked the shallots now for 15-20 minutes, and I keep turning them, and they're nice and brown. They've turned, and what I'm going to do is take the lid off and add sugar and salt, and I'll just sprinkle that on them, and then do a little toss, and this helps to caramelize, which is what we want to do. So do a little toss here, and you stir this for a couple minutes to do the caramelization. Then after that, I'll reduce the heat. Well, it is on low now, and put the balsamic vinegar in there, and that gives it the flavor, and they're nice and tender, and it will also be glazed and get some of the, you see some of this on the bottom, that will help deglaze the pan and get some of the good flavor out. And caramelizing these brings out the sugar in them also. And when you add sugar to it, it just speeds up the process. Normally when you caramelize onions, they're cut into smaller strips, but this we wanted whole. We wanted whole pieces for this. Okay, these have been cooking now for the caramelization, and I'm going to add the 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar, and the heat is turned down, and what that did was just smells so good, but it really makes me cry. It pulled up a lot of the it deglazed the bottom of the pan and got a lot of those drippings up. So the shallots are done, they're ready, and we can just keep those warm until everything's ready to serve. So I'll turn that off and we'll set that aside. Okay, I cooked the bacon in the Dutch oven, the large Dutch oven, and I pulled that out, and I'll break that up in just a little bit. What's left in the pan is the drippings from the bacon, and I'm going to cook the meat in there. I removed the beef from the bowl with all the vegetables, and it's on the towel, or on a paper towel, and what you do is you dry it off, because you don't want any extra liquid in that pan when you're browning the meat. So that's the next step, is to take the meat and take it over and brown that. So I'll put this meat back on the plate. This will go in the large Dutch oven with the drippings from the bacon, and we'll cook this probably in a couple different batches, because I don't think it will all fit in there at the same time. Although this is a pretty good sized Dutch oven, so you have to be careful so you don't splatter yourself. And then once this is all browned, I'll take it out and do the next step of the daube. Okay, the beef has been browning, and I did it in 2 batches. You see it